Hey guys, Andy back here from Mediocre Hobbies coming at you with more old world goodness. I hope you guys aren't getting sick and tired of me doing old world content. I'm still very much enthralled with it. I love it so much and I want to make as much content as possible. The views on the old world content is pretty good, so it is indication to me that you guys are enjoying it and want to see more. So hopefully we can power forward and do this. So one of my biggest passions when it came to the old world or Warhammer Fantasy back in the day was my Empire army. Empire was such a big part of my old Warhammer days. I have, I think, about 14,000 points of fully painted Empire already. But one unit that I am lacking is Empire Knights. I did build some back in the day and I did start painting them and I hated them. And when Old World went away and I was trying to downsize my kind of collection or trying to store it better, I actually threw them in the bin. It's one of the few units that I ever actually just threw out. I don't know why I did it. I don't know what was going through my head. I regret it now because I'm fairly sure I could have made them look nice. But they're gone and that's the end of that. So there is no access to Empire Knights currently, but I want to play them because they seem to be quite a useful unit in the army. 2+ save, decent weapon skill, high strength with their lance on the charge. Very happy, I want them. So I turned to my good friends at Proxywars, which is the sponsor of today's video, and they sent me out an entire unit of them already pre-3D printed and ready for me to glue together and get painted up. So that's what I'm going to be doing today. I'm going to be doing a Proxywars proxy 3D printed sculpt of a beautiful Empire Knight, and I'm going to show you guys how to paint it in record time so that you can add an extra unit of Knights to your army if you so wish. So this should be a fun video. Like I said, Proxywars is the sponsor of today's video. They support and provide such a colossal quantity of 3D printed miniatures, and they're not a STL file company. They don't sell you the files. They literally print them for you, remove the supports, clean them up, package them up, and then ship them to your front door for you without any of the hassle. So if you want some awesome 3D models, you can't print them out yourself, this may be the perfect website for you. These guys are the guys I'm going to use to pull my entire Chaos Dwarf army together, which is something that I'm going to be working on in the near future. All right guys, without further ado, let's jump in and get this knight painted. Okay, so this is the miniature in question. Like I said, it's a beautiful sculpt from, I don't actually know who it is from. I probably should have looked that up. But it is sold, printed, and distributed from Proxywars. It does very closely mimic the traditional Games Workshop mounted knight. A Reiksguard knight, if you will. Very heavily armored, barded horse, full plate armored knight, shield, lance, beautiful. One of the things that I do quite enjoy about the old world content miniatures designed for that is the fact that they are quite simplistic. I mean, you can look at a unit of knights and you don't get stressed out about what you're supposed to do or where the paint is supposed to go. This guy is broken down into only about 3 or 4 colors. I mean, think about it. He has plate armor, which I'm using lead belcher here to apply the base coat to, which is about 70% of the model. He has a little bit of cloth and a painted shield. That's all going to go red, same as the lance. He's got some kind of leathery bits for the saddle and the kind of under armor that goes up the horse's neck. That's going to be brown. Some gold trim on the cross on his shield and up the side of the horse's head. A brownie color, a black color, or a gray color, whatever color you decide you want to deal with the horse. And then obviously just wash it all down and layer it up a little bit. It's very simple and it's very therapeutic. I do quite enjoy it. Like I said, I've got another, I don't know, 10 or 12 of these guys to build and paint. By build, I mean glue to the base and glue the shield on. And I'm quite looking forward to it. I'm quite looking forward to seeing what the unit looks like as a whole. Paint it up in these color schemes and add it into my Empire. I mean, I think it's going to blend in really well. That's going to be really nice. That might then give me the inclination that I need to paint my old Demigryph Knights, which I've had since the day they came out and never painted those either. So I've got some work ahead of me. As you can see, there isn't that many crazy bits and pieces to do. We've gotten the brown and the silver on already. You know, you can see the details start to separate itself. Blood Angel's red contrast is what I'm going to use for the red parts. So like I said, there's cloth underneath the barding on all 4 quarters of the horse. I decided to do his shield painted in red. And then the lance. Nothing is going to jump out at you or surprise you with these models. Proxywars is one of the kind of longest supporting sponsors of the channel. We are very grateful to have them supporting us with a video every single month, sending us these awesome prints to show you guys and to do that. So from the bottom of my heart, thank you very much, Proxywars. And I do hope you guys check them out. Like I said in the intro, there's very, very reasonably priced miniatures, some absolutely stellar stand-ins for Warhammer the Old World. And since getting our hands on miniatures for Warhammer the Old World right now is quite difficult, companies like this are going to be the backbone, I think, of keeping this game going, at least in terms of people playing it. The long-term success of the game obviously is indicative of Games Workshop and their sales, so We can't all just move away from Games Workshop and buy nothing but this, but for the stuff we can't get right now, I see absolutely no problem with it. Agros Dunes, I'm going to go for a sandy yellow horse for this first one, but all of the horses will of course be different colors. I was debating whether I should show you guys the steps I did for painting this horse, because everybody's going to be painting horses different colors, so but I decided to show it in anyway. So like I said, Agros Dunes, there's not a lot of the horse on show, to be honest. His tail, his legs, most of his head is covered. There's a little bit of his snout poking through. His eyes and his ears are on show, but the rest is completely covered up and armored and protected by this beautiful barded armored warhorse. I suppose saying barded armored warhorse is redundant, and both those words mean the same thing. After that, it was time to move over to Retributor Armor Gold and do, like I said, the bits of trim on these guys. You could do more. I could have done the visor in gold and maybe some more of the paneling in gold for the armor, but I didn't want to go too crazy. It's something I might do in the future. I don't know, maybe the champion will stand out a little bit more, but for the standard guy, obviously the cross on his shield, and then there is a little bit of like piping going up the side armor on the horse's neck, which I decided to do in gold as well. I could have done all the rivets in gold or something just to make it stand out. It's up to you, but I went for the more traditional Reichsguard style color scheme, and that was majority silver. Nolan Oil is my shade of choice for these guys because there's so much metallics, and I applied this in a nice coat across the entire miniature. This does exactly what it says in the tin. It's going to shade all the metallics really nicely, settle into all the recesses, and give us a really nice kind of starting point for the layering job. Now the layering job is not going to be difficult on this model. I think on the red I do 2 coats, but everything else is a single coat, single stage highlight, and I think it makes the whole model pop and it looks great. Like I said, there will be kind of like a sense of oomph once we get the entire unit painted up on a tabletop. It's going to look really nice. And I think there's a very strong place for these models in the game of Warhammer the Old World these days. I think 2+ save knights, 2+ save anything is going to be just incredible. There's just so much of it. Like, things that negate armor are just very small, very slim. So the idea of something rocking around with a 2+ save is going to be very hard to get through that armor, punch through it, and get them removed from the table. So I, for one, definitely think that my Empire army needs this. I've played one game with my new Empire so far against the Tomb King's army. It didn't go very well. It's actually a battle report on the channel, and I just found myself lacking in a couple of areas. My greatswords really didn't kind of hold themselves up like they used to in the older versions of Warhammer, so I definitely need something that hits a little bit harder. And I think Demigryph Knights and Armoured Knights and maybe some War Machines, which I never really lent on before, I think are going to be required to do some decent damage and add some nice results to me playing with my Empire army. So I'm going to get some Hellblaster volley guns out there with some Engineers. That seems to be a really solid choice. Some Empire Knights, some Demigryph Knights, and then a little bit more minimalist on the State Troops these days. Usually I go quite heavy on the State Troops. I think that's not the way to go forward. At least not current. Maybe it'll change when the Empire Arcane Journal comes out, whenever that is. But who knows. Time for the red, and like I said, we're going to go for a 2-stage highlight for this. We're going to start with Mephiston red and add a highlight. And as you can see, I'm being quite controlled with it, as this is kind of like the standout color. That's why it's up the lance shield and on the barding. It's also on the reins of the horse. I decided to bring the red into that as well, just to be kind of like a flashy color. Otherwise, the model would literally be brown and silver. It would be quite dull, quite drab. So that's why I decided to go 2 layers. And as you can see, I'm being careful, following the kind of ridges and the highlights of this, putting in that extra effort. If it's going to be the standout feature, it's going to be the feature that people are going to zone in on and notice if I did a good or a bad job, or if I put effort in. That's another key thing, you know, paint the bits where people are going to notice. So if you put a lot of effort into those areas, people will assume, or their brains will fill in the assumption that the rest of the model is painted at a high standard as well, even though it's not. I love making the shield pop. Now obviously my Empire army is Sterling, so these guys perhaps should have been in a halved yellow and green scheme, but I always liked Reichland Knights. I've always wanted to do units of them and some Knights Panther and stuff, so perhaps I'll do these as those, and then I'll add in a unit of Knights Panther, a unit of Knights of the Wolf, and get a couple of different solid units of Knights added into the force. I think that would be very cool looking. And then of course we're jumping up to that Evil Sons Scarlet for the final highlight, and this really does make all the red pop, really stand out. And once again, it's that oomph. I know I said oomph twice now, that's 3 times. Imagine just that line of 10 or 12 of these knights together, all those red lances raised, all those shields gleaming, them charging across the board and smashing into your lines. And perhaps a character on a horse added into this unit would be another cool standout feature and something I may do. I think I do have a Kurt Hellborg somewhere, which I suppose is the only correct miniature that should be used with him. I love how the red turned out. I was very pleased with that choice I decided to go for with that. And with that, there's not really a lot left to do. I still have to highlight some of the horse and I have to highlight some of the leather. But like we know, we have the silver and the red and the gold highlighted now. I use the same color silver that I used for highlighting the plate armor to highlight the gold. And yeah, I use some XV88 to highlight the horse up. I just very carefully went through. Like I said, it's only 4 legs and a tail to paint, really. A little bit on the tips of his ears and his eyebrows and a bit on his snout. So nothing crazy, nothing that takes a long time. And this is another thing. You don't have to spend a lot of time doing this. You don't have to make sure it's like highlighted perfectly, correctly, or the right tones or the brush strokes in the right place. When you look at this model, you're focused on the silver and the red. You don't see the horse, you don't see the saddle, you don't see any of those details. So when I do all the other leathers, I just throw a quick coat of Catachan flesh over, highlight those bits really quickly. Because I know people don't care about them. People aren't going to look at them. People are not going to, like, I'm not caring. If I don't care, then no one else is going to care. So if you want to get armies painted, especially armies in the old world, I think kind of pulling your punches a little bit with some of your paint jobs and some of the stages of your paint jobs is going to help you out in the long run. You can always go back and add a couple of extra crazy highlights to them if you so choose. But I bet 99% of people will not do that. They'll just take their model to this standard, which is a really nice tabletop standard. Like I said, a unit of those guys, I think it's going to look fantastic on the tabletop. I'm super pleased with the result. I did take a couple of nice images, as per usual, to show you guys what this thing will actually look like on a tabletop. And yeah, I think it ticks all the boxes for use as an Empire Knight. A Reichsguard Knight for my Empire army. And yeah, super pleased with the result, super happy with it, and I can't wait to get the rest of them done. So just need to find some time to get that now. Okay guys, and there we have it. The first member of the new Empire Knight unit is complete, painted up, and ready for the tabletop. I'm really pleased with the result, cannot lie. Very nice sculpt, not too much detail. I reckon I could do an entire squad of 10 of these guys in a couple of hours, and that's something that I will be doing very soon. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you check out Proxywars using the link down below in the description. Check out some of the awesome files and models, very, very reasonably priced. Awesome things to step in for the somewhat lackluster selection of old world miniatures that we currently have access to from Games Workshop. So they're going to be used by me to fill a bunch of my gaps for now. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you give it a like, ask me any questions you want in the comments, and as usual, I will get back to absolutely everybody. Make sure you subscribed so you don't miss out on all future updates. Only about 30% of the people who watch my videos are subscribed, so it's a huge number of people out there who have not hit that subscribe button, so please do. It helps me out immensely and it costs you absolutely nothing. And if you want to support me even further, there's links to my Patreon down below. Check out all the different benefits you get from there, like access to a private Discord server and an extra vlog style video every single day from me. All right, guys, thank you so much. I will stop talking your ear off and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.